Hello, viewers. Thank you for joining in today. My name is Arun Trivedi, and I am the host of the YouTube channel AI with Arun Show. So, in today's session, we are very privileged to have Gautham on our show. Gautham, thank you so much for joining us. So,
Thank
very
you so much
quick,
for having me.
of course. So, very quick intros on Gautham and the company that he founded. It's a very interesting name. This company is called HolyCow Productions, and we'll go into the secret behind why Gautham chose that name. But let me very quickly introduce Gautham and his company to the viewers on the show. So, Holy Cow Productions, the company that Gautham founded, it's a game dev company based in Bangalore, in India. They focus on creating games for various platforms, including PCs, consoles, and mobile devices. They make original games, and that's the fantastic thing. And they also do outsourcing services, offering game dev services to other companies, including 2D and 3D and art production, game programming, and game design. In particular, I want to highlight one of the games that they have, which is called Mystic Pillars. That has become the first Indian game to be featured on the PS5. Wow, what a fascinating achievement there for you and your team, Gautam. I was so proud when I saw that news. That is the first Indian company to be featured on there. That's truly an achievement. And Gautam himself, Gautam is a BTech from the PS College of Technology and an MS from Carnegie Mellon University. Wow, that's great. That's awesome. The fact that you went to Carnegie Mellon University, Gautam, that's very fascinating. And I also see that you worked at Ubisoft before you founded HolyCow Productions. So congratulations. I just noticed that you founded this company in 2014, and this is the year 2024. So you have been in the business for 10 years, Gautam. So what a fascinating decade it has been for you.
Yeah, it's been an amazing journey so far. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, first of all. And yeah, it's been a decade of it was a dream to start a company on my own, and being here after 10 years, it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling that so we've survived.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So Gautam, let's get started. So, you have had such a great ride, right? So you have been in fascinating, colleges and universities and schools. So tell us about your motivation. What drove you to becoming a founder?
Yeah, just precursor to that, I'm very thankful to the background I've had. Like I've had this complete support from the family to be able to study at these colleges and be here where I am today. So regarding the motivation for starting something on my own or entrepreneurship, right? Like I think I've seen people around me, my dad, my relatives start businesses on their own, be it different types of businesses, right? But it's always motivated me from my childhood that I need to do something on my own. I need to run a company, right? And video games have been a passion ever since my childhood as well. I've been brought up playing games. I played Prince of Persia, the original DOS games when it came out. So it always fascinated me, the kind of AI, which is a topic in this show as well, but the AI that was used in games where the artificial intelligence for the NPCs, right? So that kind of fascinated me. From when I was seeing these video games, and that was my passion for gaming. And I started playing games. I did my engineering in computer science while I was looking at graphics and everything related to computer game development. Right. I did my master's also, like you mentioned, in video game development. It was a master's in entertainment technology, but I was very much interested in video games, and that kind of double passion to start something on my own as well as video game development that came together in my mind, and I started that.
Wonderful. So that's like a great way of looking at how people should plan their career, right? Here is something that is fascinates you, and here is something that you like doing, and you sort of married the two, and you ventured
Yeah.
into development. Great, great. And Gautam, while you were growing up earlier, what kind of mentors did you had who helped you, supported you through this journey, or did you have any mentors?
Yeah, I think I didn't have like a set of people that I used to go to talk to, but it was in general people around me, like I said, right? Relatives and parents. where I used to talk about like what is an entrepreneurship. I've seen people like build companies, run the companies, and make good or fail both of them, right? So you learn from both the mistakes as well as the successes. So that's been kind of my mentorship in a way. Uh, I've I've had people at universities. My professor at Carnegie Mellon, he runs a company called Shell Games. So that's also was one of the inspirations to be like, okay, this is something that I could do, right? And I've seen people around me as well where they've gone to do their masters. So in fact, Carnegie Mellon was also like when I saw my friends doing it, I that motivated me, and the kind of opportunities that you can get when you do a particular masters and you can get into the game development, right? Until then, I was like, I'm interested in this, I have a passion for it, but like some moments in life are like eye-opening. so so when one suggested that I should be doing a master's in gaming technology because that is sort of a passion, that was kind of like a moment of mentorship for me as well.
Wow, wow. So you actually did your master in gaming technology, and that helped you launch your career at Ubisoft first, and then HolyCow.
Yeah, in fact, that's also kind of an interesting journey, I would say, at least for myself. Was I did my master's in the US, but I did an exchange program sort of thing, and I went to Spain for one of the semesters. That's when I really liked Spain and Barcelona, where I was living, and there was an opportunity to do an internship at Ubisoft in Barcelona, and I took it up, and it was like I said before, Prince of Persia was one of my favorite games growing up, right? And to be able to work at Ubisoft was just a dream come true for me at that time. Although I didn't work on a Prince of Persia game, but it was still the same company, right? So that sort of thing happened, and that I got converted to a job, and after that I moved back to India to start my own.
Yeah. Yeah. So great. You there are certain decisions that you took. For example, taking the internship program or exchange program to Spain that helped you catapult your career in gaming. So
Yeah.
Gautam, if you were to look back,
Just to also relate to what I was saying earlier, like I took up that internship at Ubisoft in Barcelona, right? Yes, it's a big company, it's a big name, but I took the opportunity as soon as I heard that that's there, right? I didn't think of like it's a new country. Can I adjust there? What about the food? What about the language? Because I don't know Spanish. Or there's so many things that you can start questioning about an opportunity. But I feel the most important thing is to just take that opportunity, take that first step in getting into the industry. Because I know a lot of the newer generation doesn't do that so easily. Like they like to think about like what are all the consequences of this decision kind of thing, right? uh, just my advice is don't think that much for the first step. Get into the industry. If that doesn't work for you, get that little bit of experience and then look for the opportunity that you need, right? So go to the company that works for you, but don't hesitate to get into the industry. Just even if it's an internship, if it's an unpaid internship, obviously some factors would matter to the position that you are in, but if you can afford it, just take the opportunity, the first one that you can get, take it, is what my suggestion would be.
yeah, no, that's a great advice. Because a lot of time we want to spend time in our own comfort zone, but then stepping out of a comfort zone, doing
Exactly.
things that challenge us, that really makes us be prepared for success.
Yep, exactly.
Great, great. So, Gautam, we're going to pivot now on the company that you founded. Right. Let's talk about HolyCow Productions. Right. So, tell the viewers as to why HolyCow Production. How does HolyCow become a gaming company?
It's a very sought after question answer because I know it's a lot of people ask me why I chose the name. So basically, before I started the company, I was sitting on a terrace with my friends and we were talking about what the name of the company could be. And holy cow is the expression in the West where you talk about like, holy cow, that's amazing, right? And then the cow is holy in India. So, so that was purely based on that, like the pun of it, of like holy cow expression versus, okay, the cow is holy in India. So that's the reason behind it.
That's great. That's wonderful. So you're catering to a market with both India and the US, and the Holy Cow is a name that is fascinating in both countries. That's very
Exactly, and I don't think anyone would have a problem anywhere in the world with that name. So
yeah, 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 yeah. No, wonderful. That's like a great secret then about Holy Cow production.
yeah, I
Yeah,
think this is the first time I've talked about it in at least in recorded manner. So it's out there now.
yeah, yeah. So little secret revealed.
Yeah.
No, wonderful, wonderful. So, so Holika Production, that's great. So you're with your friends, founded this company, Holika Productions. And how did you guys decide that these are all the services that we should be doing, or these are all the games or kind of game that we should be creating for our audience, for the players? How did you guys go about figuring that?
Yeah. From my childhood, I've played PC and console games in a way, but mostly PC games. And I was in game development on PC and console games. So that's kind of been my passion of the kind of games that I play and want to make as well, right? So that's what I think kickstarted what kind of games we want to make in Holy Cow Productions as well. Uh, at that time, we even looked at the market and we saw that there wasn't many video game companies in India as well. So it was a way to stand out as well. But all of that was not the thoughts of like deciding on what we're going to do. Like we're beggars are not choosers, right? We're just stepping into the industry as a company. So we pretty much were open to doing any kind of games. But like that also is one thing that we wanted to focus on was the skill of making games and not tied down to any particular genre or a type of game, right? So we did a children's book game, we did a game that was rated 17 for like blood and violence. We did a racing game. So it's all over the place if you look at it as a portfolio. But that was important for us. What we wanted to excel at was the art of making games. We wanted to get that skill. We wanted to get better at that. So that was kind of the decision and the thought process behind choosing what kind of projects we want to take up.
Wonderful. So you started with all kinds of games, right? A little bit all over the place. At this point of time, Gautam, would you say that you still make all kinds of games, or do you think that this particular genre of game that is really stands out for you and really your forte?
So just a precursor to that, also I want to mention that the kind of games that we do, we I think you did mention in the beginning, but we do both our own IPs as well as services. So that's sort of been the way to survive as a company, right? So a short way of making sure that there's revenue coming into the company. So when it comes to the services side of things, yes, we still do all kinds of games. There is no limit on it. Of course, we're limited by the kind of skill that we have. So we mostly focus on making custom games for people, mostly on like single player experiences. Multiplayer is not something that we do a lot, but that's also something we've done in the past. But when it comes to our own IPs, again, we're not tied down to saying like this is kind of what our studio should be known to doing. It's more of, again, I think a lot of it is passion driven, I would say is the word, right? So we feel like we're passionate about a particular project that we're doing, then we work on that.
Got it. And Gautam, you mentioned something about single player game versus multiplayer game. So from a skill standpoint and from all the resources standpoint that you have, where would you see the difference would be for making, let's say, a single player game versus a multiplayer game?
I think a lot of it is similar, of course, like 50-60% of it is the main game itself. But when it comes to the multiplayer aspect, all the networking and handling of events, the lack of networks, and working with plugins, even if you're using it for networking, which handles, there's still a lot of work that you have to put in to make sure everything works properly, right? So that's not something that we are experienced in, I would say. It's not that we cannot do it. We've done it for a game or two, but it's not a strong suit, if you may, right?
Understood. 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 So let's talk about the one of the games that you guys made, right? The Mystic Pillars, which
Uh-huh.
is like out there. Sony has blessed it. It's out there
Yeah.
in PS5. So talk to us about what was the vision for that game. How did that game come into the mind of you guys?
Absolutely. Also, I do want to do a minor clarification on what you said. It is the first game to be on the PlayStation Plus catalog.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not sure if it is the PlayStation 5's first game. I'm sure there's one or two more games that have come from here. But yes, it's an incredible feeling for us that we were part of this. We got the opportunity with Sony to be part of this PlayStation catalog, because that's like a worldwide reach with players all around the world looking at like the big games as well as indie games. And it was a proud moment for us at the studio to be part of that catalog and that announcement, right? Uh, Mystic Pillars itself is a game that was based on a traditional Indian board game. In Kannada, it's called Aliguli Mane. It's a wooden board game with a lot of slots and seeds. You just move the seeds around. So that was kind of an inspiration when we first started the game. We wanted to bring that to the digital age. And then, although it's nothing like that game at the end, it's just that that's how it started. Since it was a board game from India, we thought we'll have an Indian story and set the game also in ancient India. So all of that is happening in Hampi and around Hampi region, and it's a story of a drought and how you can help the villages come back to life as a player. And in between that, we have a lot of puzzles. We have about 100 puzzles that's there with unique game mechanic that we came up with. Uh, and that's the game that we launched in 2019-20 during the COVID period. And then just now, last year, we started working on a remastered version where we did upgraded graphics, 4K graphics, controller support, everything to do with the PlayStation hardware, and making sure the game runs on the PS5 and it feels like a PS5 game and not like a port of a different game, right? So that's Mystic Pillars Remastered, which we launched on PlayStation 5, and Mystic Pillars was the game that we launched about a few years ago.
Wow. Wow. How fascinating. And again, many congratulations to your
Thank
team
you.
there. But Gautham, walk our viewers through the life cycle of how this game looked like, from ideation to game dev, the testing, to making it, launching the remastered version of that game. Right. Just walk our viewers through how that phase looked like.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to. Like I said, it all started with that board game that was there, right? So we took that game and we said, okay, how do we bring this to the digital market? Like we could just take it and make a digital replica, and people could just do the exact same game and they could play it, but it didn't feel as much fun. So once we were trying to think of ways to do it, then we started changing the rules of the game, that how it works. So in the original game, it's just take some seeds and go through all the slots. So now we wanted to add some spatial awareness and some math awareness into it, just very basic counting, subtraction, addition kind of thing. So once that ideation of that mechanic on paper felt like it was right, then we started making a lot of prototypes of levels on paper itself. So the designing of the puzzles was mostly on paper. Uh, then once we were confident that, okay, this feels like a puzzle, like this feels like if I explain the mechanic to a few people, they would be interested to try and solve this game, right? So then we started playtesting. I would say playtesting is a huge part of video games, and people should do it a lot more. So we did that. When with the playtesting, we saw that people were liking the puzzles, but they were not motivated to try and solve the puzzle. So one key thing we did there was we told people like this can be solved in 4 moves, and you have to solve it in 4 moves. You cannot take 5, you cannot take 6, right? So that one thing was a decision that changed how people looked at the game. They were like, okay, I have to go solve it in this. I have a goal. So that kind of mechanic that worked. And then what we did is we took that paper mechanic and we made a digital version of like a very basic point and click. There's no graphics, nothing. It's just very visual, like programmer graphics is what we call it. We did that, and we made a build and we tested it with about 30-40 people. Then we got feedback of like, okay, what did you think of this level? Or for every level, we asked them a question of, did you think it was easy? What did you like about it? And things like that. So based on that data, then we sort of got into a pattern of, okay, this seems to be like an easy puzzle, or if you make this, it looks like a hard puzzle. And that's when we went back and we rearranged the levels and made sure the difficulty works. And then we started thinking of a story that we could set around it. We had a little bit of an idea of that we wanted to set it in India and set it in this Karnataka region because we are from here, right? So then that whole ideation happened with the entire team, where we started involving more designers, artists, narrative designers into the project. And that's sort of like pre-production phase to production phase was that movement, right? In the production phase, yes, then we started looking at various visuals that could work for the game. We just did a lot of concepting of completely different visuals, right from 90s futuristic to like completely futuristic, celestial. And then we sort of decided on one uh, direction, which was similar to Monument Valley. We got a lot of good vibes from that game, so we went in that direction. And then after that was like proper production of the game, like making it in the engine, putting it on different platforms, porting it to PC, iOS, Android. And then a year later, we ported it to Nintendo Switch in 2021. And in 2023, when we were talking to Sony about their project, India Hero project, we were also showing Mystic Pillars, and they really liked the game as well as of what they saw. So then internally, we had an idea of saying like, let's see if we can push Mystic Pillars as a remastered version for the PS5, right? Uh, yes, and then once we started actually porting the game, and now that it was a console, we're looking at it on TV and stuff. Now we're like, okay, we need to improve it. It's also 3 years old, and now also we need to make sure it works with the console, and we want anyone who experiences it to have like a really good experience. So Mystic Plus has not been a commercial success. Like we've seen a lot of players download it across the platforms, uh, but it's been built with a passion. So even with the PlayStation version, that passion was the one thing that drove us. We're like, okay, let's make the best version of what we have for the platform and give that to our viewers. So we had no idea that it would get selected for the PlayStation Plus at that time. But yeah, that thing happened, and then like it was incredible.
Wow. So, Gautam, walk our viewers through some of the technologies that you used while you were creating these games, both in terms of the game design as well as the game testing, some of the
Mhm.
development tools that you used.
Mhm. So just a few things. What we use is we use Unity engine for the game development. For the art, we use softwares like Photoshop and Clip Studio Paint. Um, for design, it's mostly Google Docs and Microsoft Word and Excel, right? But so we work more like an indie, where we're not using a lot of tools. Let's say for testing or QA, we don't use a lot of tools, but we're using what we can. uh, we use Jira for like bug tracking, or internal, like we use SVNs for like the code base and everything, right? Um, I hope that answers your question, or were you
It
looking
does. It
for
does.
something?
It does.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah. We have a lot of technology viewers, and there's while we talk about the business problem or the domain problem,
Yeah,
viewers are also interested in learning about the underlying technology.
yeah, yeah. I think like being at indie, it's we choose softwares which are enough in a way. So these work for us as much as we need.
Yeah, wonderful. And Gautam, let's talk about AI. So, how are you using AI in the gaming world?
So yeah, I think it's a very hot topic in gaming world, and in general right now. AI, it's being used everywhere. In fact, we've done a project or two with AI, but when it comes to our own games, we've not put it into the the development cycle yet. But in general, I think with games, if you're talking about the industry, it's being used in a lot of concept stages, in a lot of design challenges, a lot of the redundant work that you could do, all the data handling, like scraping through data, a lot of that I think is what AI is definitely being used at this point of time.
Wow, great. Those are great insights, Gautam. Gautam, so if you have to, advise somebody who is a fresh entrant in the gaming world,
Mhm.
uh, what kind of experiences would you have them play if somebody were new to gaming? What would be your advice to somebody who's coming in new to gaming?
So I think if you're talking about like if in general, like if they want to get into the gaming
Right,
side of
right.
things, not
Yeah.
the development part.
If I'm looking for a job in the gaming world, right, and I'm
Okay.
really confused on what kind of jobs are really out there for me,
Okay.
what advice would you have?
So my first question to that person would be kind of background that they're coming from. If it's technology background, if you're looking to get in as a programmer, then there are a lot of roles that you can get into game development. Game development, like I would say, look at what you're more passionate about as well, because you can get into the front end of things, the back end of things. You can get into graphics, you can get into UI UX, you can get into testing, automation. So there's a lot of opportunities in terms of like the technology background if you're coming into the gaming industry. If you're coming in with an art background, then again, there's a lot of opportunity. Like, what are you good at? 2D, 3D, animation, concepts, asset creation. What are you good at? What is your best quality, right? So one thing I've seen in the gaming industry is that portfolio matters a lot. Like, what kind of work have you done? Even though if it's not like real work experience, but what have you worked on that you can showcase that you have the skills to make a game, right? So my advice would be build that portfolio, no matter what role you are in. Even if you're a programmer, portfolio is not just for artists. Even if you're a programmer, if you can have a website on your own, have that. Or if you have uh, pieces of code that you can share that you feel like you're very proud of. This one code I wrote, which helped the project do ABCD, right? So send that with the portfolio. If you have a playable demo, send that. Same goes for designers, same goes for narrative designers, or any role in the whole industry, right? Have that portfolio, showcase that you have the talent to work on games, and you understand the process of making a game.
Oh, nice, great insights, great insights. Gautam. So we're going to pivot on, talking about a little bit in the future. All right. So in terms of your company, first let's talk about HolyCow Productions, right?
Mhm.
Where do you see HolyCow Productions in the next, let's say, 3, 4, 5, 10 years?
So we've been very lucky to be part of the PlayStation India Hero project. So a lot of our focus is currently on making our game Rec Vital, which is going to come in the next few years. So I think that is our main focus. In the hope is that we are moving towards making our own games. That's always been the dream. But for survival, like I said, we're doing projects here and there. So I think our goal in the next 5 years is to be churning out more of our IPs, being a successful indie, I would say.
Nice. And for in terms of the gaming industry by itself, the gaming industry has seen a lot of technological advancements, right? You talk about 2D, 3D artwork. You talk about the underlying technology, AI. You spoke about some great
Yeah.
examples of AI. How do you see the gaming industry by itself evolve in the next couple of years?
I think first off, the gaming industry is not in a great shape at this point of time. I think this year has been very bad with a lot of layoffs and companies shutting down. But definitely, it's not an industry that will keep going down. It's part of the entertainment industry. In fact, it's the biggest chunk of the entertainment industry. It's bigger than movies, books, and everything put together, right? It's not something that people will stop doing as consumers. Like gaming will definitely be consumed. I think there is always going to be an opportunity for gaming companies, and this industry is definitely going to go to a better place. Uh, I think AI, if you're talking about it, there is no doubt that it will be used in the processes wherever it can be used smartly to make your work process better. I think that way would be better for companies. If you're instead of going all out, is my personal opinion. Yes, it can do a lot of concepting and everything. It helps speed up the whole process of game development, right? So traditionally, game development does take quite a bit of time. It takes years to make a good game. So I believe like the AI will have a major part to play where they're cutting down a lot of that uh, workflow, right? Um, and in general, I think there's a lot of opportunity with people being able to access devices, more like purchasing capacity going up in the world in general. They have access to mobiles which have higher capacity. The hardware is getting so much better. So there's so many more places that you can experience games. I think this is why we see a lot of like the gaming on mobile has picked up so much that I think it's neck to neck with like the PC and consoles industry and the mobiles, right? So in that way, I think there's people going to keep coming to the industry. There will be scope for indie game companies. AAA companies, AA companies. So there's going to be space for everyone, and I see it evolving into like better quality of games in general for all the people.
Yeah, yeah. You're spot on, Gautam. I mean, entertainment is something that has been since time immemorial, right? And
Exactly.
entertainment is not going to go away. I mean, people, apart from doing their normal home and office or whatever school or whatever they're doing,
Yeah.
also coming to look at some form of entertainment. And gaming is certainly, like you said, rightly said, it's much bigger than everything else put together in the entertainment world. Yeah, yeah. No, that's great, Gautam. So thank you. These are very deep insights. So really
Mhm.
appreciate you taking the time to come and talk to our viewers about your journey, how you founded the company HolyCow Production. I love the way you thought about HolyCow as a very cultural agnostic, or not cultural agnostic exactly, but something that appeals to multiple cultures, right, without
Yeah.
offending anybody, and yet
Yeah.
also a very fun name,
Yeah.
which is in line with what the industry you're in. Gaming is supposed to be fun, and you guys build that into the name. And also
Yeah.
the great use cases you talked about, how AI is accelerating the underlying development work, the automation is bringing in the gaming world. So those are very fascinating insights, Gautam. I really thank you for taking the time to talk to our viewers.
Thank you so much for having me, Arun. It was a great pleasure talking to you and all of these topics. Yeah, it was really great fun at this show. Thank you so much for doing this.
Well, thank you, Gautam, and I wish you good luck, and wish HolyCow Productions good luck, and I wish you that you guys make many more such AAA games and the fantastic games that players really love.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.